what happened an hour ago is irrelevant to us forever.
Generally speaking, the stock market is now 15%.
Are we looking at a future where AI will completely take over the decision-making process for investments? And if it becomes the case, how will markets respond if large numbers of funds are making decisions all at the same time, dictated by the same AI?
Yeah, it's a great question. And having said that, for a person that's about to release an app in about 8 weeks, 7 weeks, to do not that, but to allocate or identify the amount of risk that someone's bearing in the market. That's what it will do. And I'll come back to the question, and then to identify the safe port and achieve that outcome, but remove the risk. So the AI decision-making process comes from what they call expert systems, data mining and mimicking. That's how that process works through that extraction. And that's how most of the people that have spent so much money on trying to figure out the next black caviar, and forecasting. So history is what happened an hour ago is irrelevant to us forever. Trying to forecast what makes logical sense. So the institutions using AI, again, it's the AI data is picking up historical information and trying to forecast likelihoods based on history. So, and their institutions have been doing this for some time. So AI has sort of hit the media, 12, 18 months, but institutions have been doing this for quite some time. And it turns out, AI has been with institutions, with majors for 5 to 6 years, and they've spent substantial money. As it turns out, they've all ended up with different outcomes. So if you pick the top 10 fund managers on planet Earth, BlackRock being number 1 in the world, at 18 trillion US, that they've had separate outcomes to UBS and Goldman Sachs in the same asset class with AI. So when you start to dig deep, the AI, it's to process the different fields, the indices and the ratios, it hasn't got to a stage that you can take your hands off the wheel. Like the car. Now, Elon Musk says you can take the hands off the wheel, although there's a few instances where people would disagree with that, and they're no longer on the planet, they're no longer driving, they're no longer breathing. So AI is to be, in context, it's catapulted us into the next stratosphere, but institutions, when you look at the last 5 years, have implemented it and come out with different outcomes. And so the AI, for me, the AI is helped me immensely, but understanding my biggest attribute or best skill set is understanding investment instruments extremely well. Everything from TDs to derivatives to collars, calls, warrants, derivatives, hedging. I understand almost everything to do with investment instruments and how they work and why they were designed. So these institutions have used it for picking stocks. So they've picked the stocks in medicine or research or mining, but what they haven't picked out is that what are the investment decisions within the companies? What's the BHP CEO going to do with nickel or basalt or coal? Which decision are they going to make on a Friday night with their board on what sector we think is going to be, or lithium? So AI hasn't come down to that picking up. It's picked the BHP as a company, as a sector, but the decision-making process, until you have the decision-making process at board level fed back into that, then coming back into AI, you'll never really know which decision. So that's why these companies had all these different outcomes. I found it fascinating in the last 2 or 3 years. They're using AI, they've spent like billions of dollars, and they're each coming out. When there's some of the results weren't all that great. And so who's behind the wheel? And it's a bit like, I think, this F-40, I call it the F-47 theory. Now, when you see the F-47, and we've only seen snippets of it, of course, is the new fighter jet that Trump's introduced. He's called it the F-47, being the 47th president. Is it the most sophisticated piece of equipment on planet Earth, they say. It can't be seen, can't be heard, and 10 of them could take out, an analyst came on, who's a military expert the other day, said that 10 of them could take out a third of China in less than a minute with the weapons they could carry. Now that's frightening if that's true, but you still need a pilot. And even with that at high speed, it can't do the things it was designed to do on autopilot. You'll still need a human in there in the case of that something happens to that. So I think we're at that level where we become throw our hands up in the air and let robots make decisions. I think we're decades away from that.